It is time for the one thing, and this week's one thing is all about a question we are posing to Disney CEO and all-around great guy, Captain Charisma himself, the man of a million strengths, the person who understands PR better than anyone, and the fella that just couldn't be avoided when it came to naming somebody as a replacement for Bob Iger. It's our one question for Disney CEO Bob Chapek. If we had one shot to ask this guy a question, here's what we'd ask. We're going to start with theme park analyst Tyler Crouch. You got one shot to ask this guy something. What are you going to ask him?
Well, it's kind of something that I think has been on everybody's mind for quite a while. Who does his hair?
Yeah.
No.
I've always wondered that myself. No. Who waxes that?
Who does that?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Bobby.
Goodness gracious.
I thought I'd get Garrett with that one. No, but seriously, I think the number one question that I would want to ask him is, how does he feel about all this kind of fan vitriol that's been going on? And, well, I guess this is kind of a second question, but no, it's all in the same, right? Does he think it's justified? Does he think that, he's doing a good job? Does he think that the fans are overblowing things? Does, that's kind of all I got. I just feel like I'd be really curious to hear, because he never talks about this stuff publicly. I would really be curious to hear how he feels about knowing that he's like the most hated man in Disney.
I don't know how you could say such a thing.
Maybe even America. No.
Wow.
No, I can think of other people I hate a lot more than Bob Chapek.
Oh, no. He's so lovable, though. I mean, weren't you the one that made the I Heart Chapek t-shirts at the beginning of his reign? I thought that was you.
Yeah, it said, I love thumbs. That's what it said.
I love thumbs. Yeah, that's right. Bob, what are you doing here? What's going on? So we asked you, our Kingdom Report audience, if you had one shot to ask Bob Chapek a question, what would you ask? Some of these are a little scathing. Some of these are gentle. But at any rate, here's what you had to say. First up, Josue said, has all of that money been worth losing the magic of Disney? That would be their question. Angel says, when are you going to resign so we can get someone at the head of the company who isn't a heartless, glorified penny pincher? Ryan says, will you please step down? Will you please step down? Susanna says, why are you the way that you are?
Susanna, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Doug ends up saying, I'd ask of Lex Luthor why he hasn't left when thousands of people have made it clear that he is a disgrace to the legacy of Walt Disney and damaging to the company.
Money.
And Joshua says, can you show us that you genuinely care about your customers with the constant price gouging and commitment to contributing to problematic political campaigns? I'm growing deeply concerned for the company under your reign. Goodness gracious. There are more of your one questions coming up here in just a second, but we're going to jump over to our Walt Disney World reporter, Garrett Hassel, standing by for us with his one question for Bob Chapek. What are you going to ask the guy?
Yeah. I think he gets a bad rap. I just want to know simply what's his favorite ice cream flavor. Like, that's done and out. Like, ice cream flavor tells a lot about a person, but
simple.
In all seriousness, probably has like bubblegum flavored ice cream or something.
Bubblegum flavor, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The worst.
The
worst one.
He dislikes vanilla.
Some disgusting flavor that has
Black
no
licorice.
purpose. Like if he said mint chocolate chip, I would take those privileges away because that's my favorite. You don't.
Yeah, we know.
You don't damage mint chocolate chip. But yeah. In all seriousness, it would be. What's the reason behind moving Imagineering from California, as well as losing senior Imagineers, which then leads to a loss of leadership and, history? Like, Imagineering for me is such a deep part of the company. It's the reason why the parks look the way they do and why they have this culture and spirit around them. It's because the Imagineers put their blood, sweat, and tears, to make a place where you can escape reality and go someplace different. And by shipping it, from, I don't know the area code, but shipping it to 407 area code, I don't know if that's going to solve the issue. And when you have people, you know, like Joe Rohde, like, you know, probably one of the most visionary people ever, or Tony Baxter, you know, no longer, you know, helming this great department that Walt and Iger and all these other, and even Eisner, all the great CEOs, you know, put on a pedestal. Like, these people are now gone, and so they're kind of just doing this copy and paste. And I know that they have cheerleaders in Imagineering like Zach Ridley, who's doing a good job promoting, but it's not like it was before, where Imagineering spoke for itself. It didn't always need a spokesperson. So I just wonder, like, why are you taking away the creative people and putting them in a swamp?
Very good, and certainly a lot of Imagineers and a lot of folks that are being asked to move from California out to Florida for the Lake Nona project, as it's being called, Lake Nona campus, that I believe was 2,000 different employees were being asked to move from California out to Florida. You know, I guess number one, when I initially heard that, I thought, well, that's exciting for the sake of, is there about to be a huge investment in Florida all of a sudden? That's what made me think, whoa, they might be going a direction of really expanding and adding a lot of things, but at the same time, to not really have an option for employees whether or not they want to stay in California. I know many decided, I mean, they have lives here, they have families here, you know, they have relationships here that really matter to them, and being forced to go out to Florida. I know personally some Imagineers that I was close to that had no other choice, and they said, I don't want to do anything else in life, but I also don't want to move across the country and leave everybody behind. You know, this is not something that I wanted to deal with. So that's a great question.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Thanks, you know, but the ice cream one, that one's pretty daunting.
How's chocolate chip cookie dough for you?
I can get behind that. I did some chocolate chip cookie dough, but, you know, mint chocolate chip, like, that's been since the get-go. That's what my mom got me at Baskin Robbins in Lodi.
Wow.
And, you know, that was the thing.
Okay.
And, you know, occasionally I'll do peppermint, like for the holiday season.
Just throw some chocolate chips in your mouth and brush your teeth. It's the same thing.
Yes, it's practically the same thing. Yep. Lodi, California, the place where champions are made. You know
Absolutely. 209, baby.
209, baby. That's right. So we continue with some of your questions for Bob Chapek that you left on the youtube.com/Kingdom Report community page. Rob says, I have a lot of questions. Number one, how dare you?
Good question.
Straightforward.
Very straightforward. D says, I would ask him to explain why he has such a poor perspective on cast members. Mateo says, after a decade of Disney exceptionalism, how do you sleep at night? Tempur-Pedic or Sleep Number? Jen says, what are the long-term and short-term objectives of the leadership of the Walt Disney Company at this time? I'd be interested in hearing that as well. You know, earlier this week, he was supposed to do a big presentation, a big executive retreat, to sort of set the tone for the company and the Chapek era of what the short-term and long-term goals were going to be. However, Disney's kind of in a PR nightmare right now and dealing with all kinds of hell from all sides of aisles, and so that has been postponed. So I don't even think the executives that work at the company quite know what the short-term and long-term objectives are going to be right now. We continue here. Lucy says, I would want to know why he and his managers have taken the magic away from Disneyland. It was my favorite place to go, but his bottom line of screwing over guests to line his pockets, has ruined it for me. I won't return, but hey, he's got guests that like to brawl now, so good job.
Oh,
Certainly
boy.
we've seen here in the last few months several viral videos of guests beating the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
So, you know, pack your patience and let's not do that anymore.
That's a bad thing.
That's a bad thing. It
That's
sure seems like it.
That's the sixth key is Fight Club.
Oh, boy.
That's right.
And we don't
We're
talk
not
about the
supposed to
sixth
talk
key.
about it.
That's why you don't see it.
No, exactly.
That's why you don't see the key.
Down. Yeah.
And finally, 8-Bit says, I'd ask why there is not a price adjustment when all standard Disney amenities are not available. If half the park is under construction or rides are down, the price should reflect those missing factors. Can't say I disagree on that one, especially when you got Toontown
that's not
offline,
bad.
half of Tomorrowland missing in action,
Yeah.
and New Orleans Square all boarded up right now
Sure.
at Disneyland.
COVID gave a great excuse to a lot of these companies to offer a lesser product for more of a price. It's not just Disney. But anyway.
Very true.
That's a whole another subject.
Well, we move on over to Katrina. One question for Bob Chapek. What are you asking?
Bob.
Bobby.
Mr. Chapek. Thumb, if you will.
Prince of Peace.
Okay, I'm going to kind of go what I did last week. If you could change one decision you made since being CEO, what would it be and why?
Very nice.
Okay.
He hasn't been CEO for very long, and so...
Might not be for much longer.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll see about that. And moving along to Sabina, one question for Bobby C.
Oh, out of so many.
Bobby C.
How
Yeah, really.
dare you?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, actually, it's kind of how dare you. I kind of feel that with some of the statements he has made, there's been like a big erasure of big members of the Disney legacy. Personally, I think Howard Ashman is the reason why Disney and the magic that we have in the parks is where it's at, as we know it, and I think that erasing him as a gay icon and what he has done for the company erases, like a bridge of understanding. And, we live in a time where there's a lot of misunderstanding about people and the communities they belong to, and kind of, highlighting this really big figure that has been the reason why we go to a park, we listen to music from The Little Mermaid, it makes us feel magical. And it's a missed opportunity to really try to continue to build bridges of understanding. And how dare you not mention what he has done for the company and try to brush it off by saying we do a lot for the LGBTQIA company or the community. And,
Yeah.
they have done so much for Disney as we know and love.
Definitely has a lot of bridges to build and repair. Certainly has divided not only the Disney cast member base, but also the Disney consumer base, as we've been seeing raging across the past week. Hashtag boycott Disney is now a thing. The Disney company is just dealing with a fire in every possible position. So this is a great time to ask you, what one question would you have for Bob Chapek? You let us know in the comment section. As always, we appreciate your perspective.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.